Hi everybody and welcome back. I hope you're ready to learn more about using the SQL Change Automation Powershell Cmdlets to define your CI builds. In this class we're going to specifically look at how we can add a test task to our automated build process and also how we can trigger those builds using the triggering capabilities of TFS. So let's jump straight into our build definition and take a look at what we set up in previous videos. So here, if we go to the build definition, you can see that last time we configured this first PowerShell task, which actually used our PowerShell cmdlets to invoke the database build process. To add to this, all I'm going to do is add another PowerShell task. And once again, I've already written the code that's going to be used to carry out this testing process. So all I need to do is copy and paste it here from this notepad file and drop that into our build definition. So here in this inline script window. And it's a very simple piece of code that we have in this case. It's going to grab the package that we produced as part of that last PowerShell task and exported to that folder in disk. And then we're going to issue the invoke database tests PowerShell cmdlet, which is part of the cmdlet set that come with SQL Change Automation. And that's going to recreate the database using local DB and then run all of the T-SQL-T tests that it finds as part of the project. Now, of course, if you're not familiar with using T-SQL-T or Redgate SQL Test, please do look out for the video series, the course on SQL Test. That will teach you all you need to know to get started with automated testing for your SQL Server databases. But for now, let's come in here and let's amend this so that we call this the test task, and we'll just adjust the display name for the other one. So this is the build task so that we can identify the two. And then finally, let's add a trigger to this. So I'm going to turn on the trigger for continuous integration so that every time there's a commit to source control, we're going to get a fresh build. But for now, let's save and queue this build and see what happens. And in this case, we should expect the build process to kick off exactly as it did in the last video. But in addition to this, we're going to run through that test task as well. So we're going to execute all of those T-SQL-T unit tests that we'll find present within there. Now, I think there's around about 30, 32, possibly even 33 tests as part of this project. So we'll check the log to make sure that we're getting feedback on how many of those tests have been executed and how many of those tests have actually passed versus how many of those tests have actually failed. If we wanted to, we could extend this definition so that we actually export those test results and surface them in a way that we might find more consumable, so maybe publish them somewhere. But I'll leave that to you guys to decide what you want to do with them. If you're interested in learning more about any of the PowerShell cmdlets that we use for the process that we're outlining here, then please head on over to the documentation site. There's also a huge number of articles on the community hub, which I'd always encourage you to take a look at, because there's some really insightful pieces there that dig right into the issues that we're perhaps only scratching the surface of in our Redgate University Getting Started courses. So there we go, we've now completed that build, and if we take a look at the log, here we'll see that build passed. And the build task was successful in producing that NuGet package 1067 this time. And then also we had that test task, and we have some test results. So we have 33 tests run altogether, and we had 2 failures in this case. So one of them was one of our SQL cop tests. The other one was one of our unit tests. So if we wanted to, we could fail the build based upon these tests failing, and that would prevent this package from moving further through the process. But there we have it. That's really the basics of how you can get started using T-SQL-T automated testing against your SQL Server database code once it's in your source control repository by using the SQL Change Automation PowerShell cmdlets. So join me in later modules in this course where we'll be looking at actually how we can use the rest of the SQL Change Automation PowerShell Cmdlets to define releases. So actually creating release artifacts and then pushing those changes out to our target database environments. But for now, thanks very much for watching.